While the group of armored ornithischian dinosaurs known as stegosaurs are known from the Middle Jurassic through the early Cretaceous and perhaps later, the genus Stegosaurus is known from the late Jurassic, from western North America in the Morrison Formation, and from Europe. There are three species of this genus currently recognized. Size could obviously vary given that there are multiple species and multiple individuals. The largest known Stegosaurus measured more than 9 meters, almost 30 feet, while 6 meters in length may have been more typical. The largest could stand more than 4 meters tall, this would be in the mid-back including the plates, and more than 2 meters at head level. Large individuals are thought to have weighed between 5 and 7 metric tons. Given that its head would have been about 2 meters off the ground, it thus would have been limited in its feeding on plants closer to the ground as opposed to the tops of trees, say compared to some of the sauropods. Its narrow snout would have been adaptive if it was more of a selective eater rather than trying to grab, huge mouthfuls of diverse vegetation, of being more selective for perhaps softer or more succulent plant parts. There were no teeth in the front of its mouth, and its cheek teeth were simple, blunt teeth, unlike the complex dental batteries with hundreds of cheek teeth cemented together that some later ornithischians would possess. So instead of eating fibrous plant material that needed to be chewed, once again, perhaps the selection of softer and more select plant parts, perhaps fruit-like structures, would have been its preferred diet. The big plates of bones known as osteoderms, composed of dermal bone, were the inspiration for the name roof lizard, which is the translation of Stegosaurus. These plates could have served in protection, in thermoregulation, given that they were rich in blood vessels and could help both warm the body if, say, sunlight was striking it, or cool the body if wind was blowing, depending on how a dinosaur oriented its body. They could function in display, species identification, or perhaps all of these roles. How the plates were arranged can be debated, although the model of 2 rows of overlapping plates is best supported, and the vertebrae were enlarged to support the weight of these plates. The 4 bony spikes at the tip of the tail would have been the best defensive weapon of these stegosaurs. Other genera of stegosaurs could also have spikes running down their backs or on their shoulders, but in Stegosaurus they are only known from the tip of the tail. The brain size of Stegosaurus was notoriously small, and among the smallest brain size compared to body size among dinosaurs, with the only comparable values being in some sauropods and in ankylosaurs. In stegosaur brains, the olfactory bulbs were relatively large. The tips of the digits would have included hooves to support body weight. And although many of the quadrupedal dinosaurs had shorter arms than legs because the first dinosaurs were bipedal, the relative leg length compared to the arm length in Stegosaurus was even greater. So the relative length of the arm decreased in Stegosaurus compared to earlier stegosaurs.